Chairman. Thank you very much for coming along to this meeting this evening. I'm nearly the first victim of our earlier start time. I had to cut the last bit of the county council short in order to be able to get in. Right. Item 1, declarations of interest. Are there any?
None.
As Dad?
Potentially, a member of Brookhouse is actually two possibly active, item 9 and 10, depending on shopping centre and
Well, I don't think so. No, it's a Pendle Council project. It's not. I mean, Brookhouse will get the land following the completion of demolition, but that's, yeah, okay. Right, anything further? Nope. Move on then. Public question time. If there are any members of the public here that want any questions that aren't otherwise on the agenda? No, there aren't. Thank you very much. Item 3, minutes of the last meeting. Would somebody move those as a correct record? Moved and seconded. All in favour? Thank you very much. Item 4, local government reorganisation, options appraisal. And I'm just going to introduce this, our new Chief Executive, who I should welcome to the meeting, has been involved in the process leading up to his taking up the appointment. So it's been involved for the past 2 or 3 months. One of the things that, and I'll leave most of it to you, Dean, but one of the things that I wanted to highlight is the consultation that we've got underway, which is specifically for, well, I mean, it's inviting residents in Burnley and Pendle to comment. And as of this morning, which is the last figures that I got, we had got 826 responses to that, 88% of which were in favour of the option that Burnley and Pendle councils are putting forward, which is for, no, put my hand up, 88% are residents of Burnley and Pendle, and it's 80% who are agreeing with our 5 model proposal. The option of 3 unitaries has just 66 votes as of this morning, and the 4 unitary model had 37 votes. And obviously that's a minority of the people who are responding. And virtually 3/4, 74% of the people who have concerns about the area being overseen by a larger authority. So that's got until the 26th for people to fill in. It's online. If anybody's watching this either live or after the meeting, if you haven't already done so, bob onto the council website and fill that in. So, Mr. Langton.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. It's good to be back at the council. And to some extent, you've stolen my thunder because that was the crux of what I was going to say around the consultation.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm going to.
There you go.
You know, I'm going to major on that.
So, as you're probably aware, the business case for the 5 model is being prepared, and work on that continues. And it's fair to say an incredible amount of work is going on from a range of officers across both councils and others to prepare that is significant. So you'll have noticed, I think, that there's no member briefing going in the diary for the 12th of November. So the purpose of that is to ensure that you as members have a full understanding of the business case. And then there is the extraordinary council meeting planned for the 17th of November. And then the decision will be taken by the executive on the 20th of November. That timeline is broadly in line with the timeline in other councils. There will be some variation about it. but in essence all councils are converging on those dates more or less, with a view to having the submissions in by the 28th of November. Just one thing to point out from MHCLG's perspective is their first test is to ensure that each of the bids is compliant with the criteria that they've set, and what has been suggested is if that's the case, then any such bids will be subject to a further public consultation in the new year. So of course getting compliant bid is critical to getting the 5 unitary authority bid going forward for consultation, and then ultimately it's for the government to decide, and their decision will be taken, as you know, I think before the summer recess next year, so that's June, July time. So that's all I wanted to say, Chairman, because I think there's lots of work going on and lining up the governance process now for members to consider those things.
Thank you very much. Can I ask if there are any comments or questions from members? Obviously we are mid-process, so it's a moving feast, as it were. Asjad.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Well, obviously, we've had quite a few briefings over the last couple of weeks. I think one of the key things that's coming out is having that data to make more of like an informed decision at the local level. We are all up for localism. We just need that fine detail of maybe like a bit of a comparison with a 4 model and a 5 model, so we can have a better informed decision making within our members and also the general public, especially members. And Dean also touches on about the combined bid. I mean, one of the recommendations or this advisory or the 500,000 population within a unitary. What kind of feedback are we getting, or what are we sensing from ministers? Because there has been a change of Secretary of State and during ministers. Is there any flexibility in those kind of thing? And then and previously I raised about the declaration side of things.
Yeah.
Which is one of the big factor from my personal point of view. I think it's crucial, with all the changes happening, that we acknowledge how we're going to deal with declaration.
Yeah, the 500,000 residents figure is a bit of a flexible feast, and they have accepted that lower populations will be entertained. There was some studies done by the District Council Network, which were published this week, and they indicate that there isn't a correlation between larger unitaries and good quality services, which I think supports our case. And previously there was a national study done in terms of social care authorities that indicated that the optimum size for social care authorities was between 250,000 and 350,000. In terms of the elsewhere in the country, I'm aware that several counties who are in the DPP, the Devolution Priority Programme, have submitted proposals which are based on the range of sizes that we're looking at, and I've not had any feedback to say that the barriers have gone up against those. Dean?
Yeah, so just in relation to 2 other matters then. So on the data, one thing that has happened is that there is a consistent data set that all of the groups that are developing their options are working from. So just be assured that across the piece we've all agreed what that data set is, and that will be used, and that will feature in each of the bids. Of course we won't see other people's bids until they're issued. Within the bid, the business case itself, there will be a comparison of the respective options as well, so that will form part of the analysis because there's a requirement to do that. Just to reiterate the point that the chairman's made around the population, originally it seemed to be hard and fast. It's become much more flexible over time, and equally as David said, that if you look at Manchester, most of their authorities are well below the 500,000 threshold. So I think the government has softened on that, and it's about how robust your bid is about the delivery of services. So I don't think necessarily they will stick to that in all cases. In terms of deprivation, likewise, I think the strength of our bid as it develops is about how we will deal with that, as it will be with other bids too. And I think the argument is, of course, having a more localised level of service delivery is the better option for that. So, yeah, I think all of those things are factors that we're considering.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anything further? Any questions? So the dates for your diaries are the 12th of November, which is the all-member briefing, and then the full council meeting, special full council meeting, extraordinary full council meeting on the 17th, and the executive, which is the body which will actually make the decision, is on the 20th of November. Very good. Thank you very much. If there's nothing further on that, we will move on. I was remiss at the beginning of the meeting not giving apologies for Councillor David Hartley, who is away. So if we can just note those, please. Right, item 5 then is the Keighley Road Conservation Area. And I'm going to invite Lola to come in on this, but Mr. Watson sent me an email earlier on, and I've just looked at it now because, you know, like it's hard doing it when you're driving. I didn't try. And if he could just briefly outline what he's telling me in that email.
Thank you, Chairman. When I put this report together, I consulted the chairman of the area committee and some councillors. I made some changes to it and put the changes in this document that's in front of you. And then I got, to be fair, quite a hefty list of other changes that needed to come along in that. So I didn't have time to put those changes into this document. I thought it would get confusing. So there are some typographical errors, etc., and some minor additions to the appraisal that need to be put in place to make it grammatically, I would say, better as opposed to a particularly stronger document. So I've done that, Chairman, but it's not before you at the moment.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Right, Lola.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I have received that updated report with the changes. Yeah. Chairman, the consultation, I feel is quite lacking. There hasn't been the extent to which I would expect a conservation area to have responses back. I believe there was 10 in favour and 10 against. And it's my understanding that that was quite a few years ago now. Am I right on that, Neil? Was it 22, 23?
2, 3 years? 2 years? It was about 18 months ago. It's not quite that long. We did write to every single household specifically, not only in the area but on the periphery of this. So we have consulted individually. It's not been something in an advertisement in the paper that people may not see. It's actually been a letter through every single letterbox.
Okay.
Yeah. Reading through the consultation responses we did get back, they're very much firmly against, and you know, the ones in favour sort of firmly in favour. So it's very much a controversial subject, I think, for making it a conservation area. And I mean, I'm not comfortable designating it as a conservation area tonight without a better response from the public.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you suggesting? A further round of consultation based on the end result of the deliberations over the past 18 months?
Yeah, I would suggest that with you know, the comprehensive setting out of what residents would expect would change for them and what they could do with their properties under a conservation area status. Just to get a clear view of, is it supported locally? Because I think to do something like this, you really have to bring local residents with you. You can't just impose it on them because, I mean, we've seen it before. If they don't support the goals behind the conservation area, they will just develop their properties in the way they see fit and try to flout planning rules. And that's not something we want to be doing, because that creates work for the planning team here, enforcing that, and just breaks down that trust with the council, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Is that seconded?
Yes.
Yeah, can I just do not an amendment, but just an observation? Neil, you said that there's been changes. Is that to the changes of the area that's been looked at?
I've not been facetious, but lots of apostrophes and typographical changes.
Oh,
There's no change to the area or the rationale behind it. It's been more about
It's the text.
formatting.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I mean, I agree with Laura that, you know, as long as the residents know that, you know, if it's turning into conservation, you know, there will be some limitations, but it would also preserve. So I'd like that message to be there as well.
Okay. All right. So, so it's moved and seconded, but we have a further round of consultation. A couple of comments really. I've been involved with creating quite a few conservation areas, and I'm very pleased and proud of that. The driving force has typically been accessing funding, so heritage lottery funding, heritage initiatives. Bonaldswick, we had 2 rounds of work which depended on getting the conservation area in order for us to, or we saved a couple of buildings, the Majestic buildings and the Wormsgate Chapel, through getting the conservation areas. Whitefield is obviously where we deliberately got the conservation area in order to access the funding for Whitefield. That was successful in getting millions of pounds spent in Whitefield. Nowadays it's a bit of a problematic area because of the people wanting dormers and the like, and perhaps other stuff which doesn't sit well within the conservation area. So I mean, I think that's a current problem. In Earby, I think past councillors wanted conservation areas because, you know, they thought it was a good thing. And what we've found in the last couple of years is that there is significant problems. I mean, typically with people wanting to have UPVC windows instead of timber windows, and there was a shelter, well, I'd say it's a sheltered housing. There was a housing association property which initially was turned down, and then subsequently we granted permission for that. And more recently there was a property on Woodlands Close, I think it was, where again they wanted, because the timber ones had rotted, they wanted to replace the whole lot. So there are tensions in Earby with that, which I don't want to see replicated elsewhere. Yeah, so I think we need to be cautious, and I agree with the suggestion of a further round of consultation based on what we've got with the corrected document that Neil has referred to. Sarah?
Well, I agree too, but I would like to suggest something else really, and I have suggested this to Mr. Watson in the past. I think the thing is, we got such a low response because everybody got a letter from the council, quite boring looking, and thought, oh, and then perhaps some people put it behind a clock and forgot about it, and other people thought, oh, I feel that these people are trying to stop me doing something, so I'll write something. But the letter couldn't be fully informative. It's a letter, it's not going to be a big thick thing. And I did suggest, why don't we have an event at the cricket club where we could explain what it really means. And of course, we haven't got an Article 4 direction here in Pendle, something that I would be for, but we haven't. So there's still an awful lot that people could do in terms of permitted development. And I think that genuinely people don't understand that, nor could you get into it really in a letter. You can't really get into what it actually means or talk about the significance of the area. So we've got a freedman in Cone called Jeff Cranby, and he's just done a video on this area, a walk through this area, talking about its significance. It's been filmed by Cone Town Council, and lots of people have got in contact saying, oh, isn't it wonderful, Jeff's telling us about Cone's own Harley Street, and that kind of thing. And I feel that if we could have an event, and I'm sure that Cone area could hire the cricket club, that would be the way to get more people actually consulted and involved, perhaps on a Saturday afternoon or something like that. I do feel that's better than a letter. It is a really important part of Cone, and before Rosemary Lyons left, she said to me, I would have always made it a conservation area if I could. It's a protected area within the Cone neighbourhood plan. Essentially, it's like a wealth superhighway. It's a drover's road coming across from Yorkshire up Carry Lane, where all the drovers came, and then they went into town where they had a cattle market and so on, and then it became a turnpike road, and then all the sort of smart people built their villas there, and then the doctors set up their doctors' surgeries there, and so from sort of 1700 to 1910, you see a very interesting pattern of development, and there is quite a few buildings, including the school and the headmaster's house, by Cone's #1 architect, Mr. Spivey. So there are many compelling reasons historically and architecturally why this area should be a conservation area, and I think that Coners sort of know that, but they just don't reply to letters from the council. I think that's all. I don't know what other people think about that. It would be great to have a consultation. I would love to do that.
Good. Well, I'm more than happy to facilitate that, and we'll organise that. In terms of the consultation itself, I referred to the local government consultation that we're doing online. There are some paper responses to that, but on any letter that I'd send out, it would be with a QR code on, so that people could easily go online and put the responses in that way, and I think that would help maximise those. So, are we ready, Anif?
Yes, thank you. Obviously, some of the questions I was going to ask have been answered. It's just, obviously, turning any area into a conservation area is a big change. One of the things you picked on was funding. So, if there's no funding there, then why are we doing such a massive change? Second question is, how many of the residents know? Now, having a letter gone through, having an event, I've done events and you've done events, we've all done events. Only selected people come to an event. If you're going to do events, then you do multiple events around the town at different times, so different people can come in. Because otherwise, the people you choose will come to your event, other people will not come. So the key people in all of this is the people, the residents of the conservation area. Other Colne people who live 2 miles out, because Colne is a big town, the key, so we need to get the residents of the conservation area interested, and their thoughts particularly should be essential. I wasn't aware, and thank you, Lola, for telling us there's only 1010. It doesn't say that in there, So I think next time when we do a report, we need to have some facts and figures so we understand. Because I was reading it, and when we were discussing, so if that's the case, let's go for that. Having listened to Lola, I think our reports need to be just slightly amended in the future to give all the facts and figures. So the 2 areas you mentioned, in particular here in Whitefield, when it was done, we bought millions, but now it's causing an issue for the residents. So we need to look at, in 20 years' time, what the issues could be, not in 5 years' time, because the house price has gone up by 50, 60,000 pounds in Nelson. Okay, a lot of people have been priced out. It's easier to build a dormer. Okay, so people want dormers. Okay, so one street has got a dormer, the next street is a conservation area, and you can't have a dormer. So a lot of the questions we talk to officers about is, come on, how can we amend the conservation area? Not to change the outline strategic thing, but at least give the residents a chance to expand, because they don't have the money. They've got small amounts of money and they want to, obviously they've got big families, whatever the reasons are. So we need to bear that in mind. And conservation areas won't be any, they will have their own issues in the future. So I think, Chair, if we do the consultation, I think the other one is asking the right questions. I've seen it, I was a bit surprised, it was not that detailed, it was quite vague. So it's just asking, the question is, do you live in the reservation, conservation area, or you don't? Conservation area, okay? So, because obviously that question isn't there. So the people responding could be from Troden Way and say, yeah, fantastic idea. Okay, we're going to know. So what the question is, we need to relook at this. We shouldn't be rushing it. Okay, if we do it, it should be done right whenever it's done, unless there's a time urgency on this, Lola. No. So I think any of these things in the future should be done slightly. The first was good, but now we've looked at it. I think we need to follow what you just said.
Yeah. Okay. Sarah, you must come back.
I just wanted to explain that all the funding for this was paid for by Colne Area Committee, and all the impetus came from Colne Area Committee. So there's no additional cost to the council. The impetus is from Colne councillors who want to see this done.
Yeah. Andy?
Yeah. Just to highlight one of the comments that was made on the returns, was somebody said about going, if we were to go green, that their front of the house faces the south, and if they were looking at getting solar panels fitted, how would it affect them? Does it have to be on the front facing?
Okay.
Which, that was one of the comments on there. It's, this is what we need to look at, is what permissible we would be able to look at, which is what you were saying then.
No. I think in terms of questions like that, we asked Neil in carrying on with a further consultation that, you know, there are frequently asked questions that we provide answers for. Okay, are we ready to go to a vote on this? Are we agreed on that? All those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. That's carried. Item 6A, referral from Area Committee, and this is Hillside Close and Pennine Way, Briarfield. We have a report which I'm looking over here. Moved and seconded. Okay. Those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. That's carried. And the next one is actually from West Craven Area Committee. This has not yet been confirmed, but in consultation with the County Council, we have got an opportunity to plant about 200 square metres of micro forest on part of the land off Bailey Street, and for anybody that's familiar with it, it's a triangle which is bounded by a surfaced path that goes across the side and rear of properties on Aspen Grove and Bailey Street itself, and the funding, if it's agreed, the trees will come from the Tree Council. Contractors working on adjacent land have agreed to do the physical work, and it would be planted by volunteers. As I say, still to be agreed in terms of supplying the trees, but in terms of the land itself, I was concerned as an area committee chair that it did get executive approval. We don't want somebody coming along and saying, "Oh, you planted all them trees there." So, Ajad. Thank you very much. Yep, moved and seconded. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Item 7 is the forward plan. Yeah. Dean, are you wanting to... sorry, you're looking surprised now. Are you content with it? Because we've been talking about moving stuff around a bit.
If you give me delegated authority to look at it, Chairman, please,
Well,
if you can.
you and I can look at it then. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Are you happy with that?
No.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Right. 7 o'clock. We wouldn't have been starting. Well, we'd have just been started this meeting now. We get to the point where we're excluding press and public. So we're going to ask John if he can turn the cameras off and explain to people that we've got a couple of confidential items that we need to take, and we need to move the legal resolution. So could I ask if that's moved and seconded? Those in favour, excluding press and public, thank you very much. That is carried. Right, we're going to go on to the exempt items now. I'm just going to pause